The year is 256 EQ. The Empire is the biggest empire in the entire history of this planet. The Empire rules most of the world, but not the North. The North, when House Armstrong and the Empire attempted to invade the North, just about 2 years in, the North united and pushed House Armstrong and the Empire out of the North. Some parts of the North were captured by the Empire, but not much. Since then, this was 56 years ago. 56 years from 256 AQ. This was a big defeat for House Armstrong. And after that, there were many there was a period called the Rebellion period, where there were constant rebellions against House Armstrong and the Empire. But weird enough, House Armstrong and their High King, Arush, kept the Empire together. But there was one rebellion that started in the year 256 AQ that would decide the fate of the entire Empire. The First Civil War. The First Civil War was started 5 years earlier from 256 AQ, when House Howmir's Lord King, Cohen Howmir, claimed that he was the rightful king, High King of the Empire. Arush Armstrong responded with saying that he was the rightful king, and that his family had ruled the empire and kept it together for many years. Cohen Howmir stepped down about a week after the claim, but he still kept the claim. In the year 256 AQ, about at the start of the 256 AQ, Cohen Howmir announced that he declares himself the High King of the Empire, and that he with him, House Wilder and House Lambier declared independence with him. House Wilder and Lambier joined the new empire with their High King, Cohen Howmir. Cohen Howmir immediately was threatened by Arush Armstrong. Arush Armstrong demanded that Cohen Howmir step down and stop this rebellion. Cohen Howmir did not. He ordered his army to attack House Armstrong, and Cohen Howmir led his army to raid local villages on the border, on the House Armstrong border. This was bad for House Armstrong. Arush Armstrong received reports of houses in the east making plans for rebellion. Arush Armstrong was a really good commander, and he would be known as Arush the Great. Arush Armstrong knew that he couldn't fight the rebellions, so he ordered the loyal houses in the east to put them down. He decided to do this because House Armstrong needed to put down House Howmir's rebellion, as he made this his his biggest priority, as House Haumir could defeat him if he left with about 3 armies. So, the plan, Arush Armson decided on a plan. He decided that attacking Wilder, running right through Wilder, not really running, but basically forcing the Armson army through Wilder and quickly taking the northwestern part of House Haumir. This plan was seen as impossible by many generals, but some generals did see a possibility, as the gains would be decisive if Armson could defeat House Wilder, as House Haumir and their new empire only had House Wilder, House Lombyr, and House Haumir in it. So kicking out one house would show that this new empire was weak. Arush Armson ordered that the armies get ready for this attack. The strategy for invading Wilder was risky. Two armies in the south, two Armson armies in the south, were ordered of taking the only port that Wilder had and the entire south. If this was successful, this would force Mac Wilder, the king, the lord of House Wilder, this would force him to make a move. House Wilder had been a military superpower for many years, but in the recent years they had declined. Their military has declined in the recent years. What was left of the once great Wilder army was an unprofessional spear force. The only advantage Wilder had was their archers. Wilder was the only house that used archers. This was seen as a problem for Armson, as Armson didn't really have time to implement archers into their army, so Armson relied on infantry for the most part. But to counter the Wilder archers, many houses had equipped their soldiers with spears to throw. There weren't so Mac Wilder, the Lord Mac Wilder, knew that he was in a bad position. But Cohen Haumir, from his keep Castle Haumir, informed Mac Wilder that he would be reinforced in about 3 days. Mac Wilder believed this. This was actually true, but Haumir were delayed. House Hearthstone had started to raid into their northwestern lands, so many of the armies were put on border duty to prevent raids. But Haumir still sent about two armies to reinforce Wilder, as Cohen Haumir and his generals knew that losing Wilder was a big defeat for them if this happened. But the attack began in the south. Armson attacked, The attack was a big success. In only one day, in just first day, the House Armson captured the port and some small villages. The second Southern Army didn't really have as much progress as the first, but the next day the Second Army advanced very far, and on day 3 these two armies had captured the entire south. This quick defeat was a massive for Wilder. Mac Wilder saw that his military was not ready to face the Armson army. He was really stressed, and he sat up day and night in his room, trying to come up with a plan on how to defeat Armson. He finally came up with an idea. The plan Mac Wilder had was pretty stupid and simple. His plan was to attack the Northern Armson army, as that army had a king. Irish Armson led the Northern army. If Mac Wilder thought that if he killed Irish Armson, this would break the morale of the House Armson army, and Wilder would delay the Armson army, because the House Armson would need to crown Turik Armson the new High King. This would give Haumir enough time to reinforce Wilder, and more Haumir reinforcements would come if this was in 3 weeks after the first reinforcements. Mac Wilder saw that he could get himself out of this tricky situation if he won that battle. He wanted his son in the west, Scott Wilder, to fight with him, but Scott Wilder had problems with Harston raiders raiding and destroying his supply lines, and therefore slowing him down. Scott Wilder informed Mac by sending a message to Mac Wilder that he could not reach Mac Wilder in time for the battle. Mac Wilder knew that he couldn't wait for Scott Wilder's army in the west, as this would give Armson time to get intel about Mac Wilder's move, as Mac Wilder was suspicious that there were spies in his keep. Finally, Mac moved out with his army from Wildkeep. His army quickly rushed to defend the north, and Irish Armson saw what Mac was doing. This is exactly what Armson wanted. They wanted Mac to advance on the Northern Army with Irish. So Irish Armson had ordered House Harston to raid alot in Wilder and Haumir lands, as Irish Armson knew that this would slow their armies down and would force Mac Walder to attack him. Arosh Armson knew that he would win the battle easily, or so he thought. Mac Walder did inspire his troops with a speech saying,
Okay, I know that I'm probably leading you to your death, but what other choice do we have? Someone said in the background. We should surrender. He's a damn fool. Mac continued. I know that I'm leading you to your death probably, but we are wilders. This is our lands, not Armson. House Armson has made us a puppet and a vassal. We shall fight to the end for our independence. House Aumir want to help us. I'm leading you probably to your death, or we could win our independence in just this battle. This battle could decide the fate of your family and the future of our great kingdom. We shall rule these lands. Everyone in the background started to scream. All hail King Mac Walder. And so they continued.
Mac Walder's speech inspired his army, and they continued. This battle, the Battle of Waldar, would decide the Civil War. As if Armson won, they would probably win. If Wilder won, the new empire would probably win. This battle will decide everything. Mac Wilder is defeated. Luckily for Mac, he was able to retreat in the middle of the battle. This defeat was final. Mac and his remaining what remains of his army retreats to Wildkeep to make a last stand, but his heir Tim Wilder gains the army's support, and just 2 days after Wilder's massive defeat, Tim Wilder murders his father, Mac Wilder. Mac Wilder lies dead in his bedroom. Tim Wilder seizes power, and he immediately asks Arush Armson for talks, as Tim Wilder thought that his father was an idiot. Tim Wilder knew that his father wanted House Wilder to be a great military power, but Tim Wilder knew that wasn't possible, and Tim Wilder knew that for the moment he could not stand against the Armson's vast armies, and he knew that if he didn't talk with Arush Armson and surrender, then Arush Armson would kill his entire family. The Wilder family is not that big, so just the day after Tim killed his father, Mac, Arush arrives outside Wildkeep's gate. Tim screams out,
"I want peace. We surrender if you allow me to rule House Wilder."
Arush Armson is surprised. His army is very surprised that the Wilders surrender. Arush Armson screams back,
I will talk with my generals and my advisors to see what we can do.
Arush Armson and his army sets up camp outside Wildkeep. Arush Armson and his generals and his advisors agree that Tim has killed Mac Wilder. Arush Armson trusts Tim. Arush Armson hopes that Tim will be a better leader. Many advisors and military generals say that it's a good idea, as they could regain Wilder's loyalty to the throne, to the rightful throne. Arush the next day announces to Tim Wilder that Tim Wilder is the lord of House Wilder and all its lands. Then nothing more happens. Arush Armson gathers his armies and march against Haumir. Back in Haumir, Cohen Haumir is very angry about this great defeat. Now the House Armson and their vassals now stand at the doorstep of Haumir. Cohen Haumir is not sure what to do, but he's damn sure that he's gonna hold out for as long as he can. Thank you guys for watching this video. I have spent time on this, and I have built up this universe for basically this reason. The reason why I was away for a little bit is because I'm currently working on a game. I'm not gonna say any more about it. I will give more information when it's in a playable stage. But I'm gonna do this series for a while. I'm gonna finish up season 1 of this, and we are gonna see how, and then I'm gonna take a look at how much support it gets, and depending on the support and the views and all that, I will decide on if I want to make a season 2, or if I will probably make a season 2, but we're gonna focus on finishing this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.